is what we're about. My name is Jim Maya Dogon McWilson. I'm co-founder of the Family Empowerment Student Achievement Institute, the Parent Student Union, and Academic Olympian Society, all of which you can find on Google or YouTube. Tonight we are proceeding with this campaign effort. We're in the middle of a plan to identify 1,001 schools, as I stated, but we're now looking at measurements of how many we can identify or have identified for you to be able to take a look at in the range of ABC, which is basically 70 to 100. And if you have any schools in those particular areas, it would be helpful that if compare your school to the schools that we are showing you. You may be in a different state, so I'm actually going to show 2 states tonight. But your state, wherever you are, when you see this on YouTube or on a website, remember, go to your state Department of Education, Google how your state does what it does, how it ranks schools, how it rates schools, and which schools are meeting our goal, which is that 50% of them should be achieving proficient and above, meeting benchmarks and goals, and you need to know what the benchmarks and goals are. On this particular website, you can find a lot of information. In the information, as you can see on the website, is what we're about. The fact that achievement matters, what tools we use, what the mission is. So I won't repeat all of that, but if you just Google, as you can see in the top corner, best academic practice models for Black students.com, you can find that information. So the first thing I'd like also for you to know is that the YouTube site, Best Academic Practice Models, you can also Google that site and look at some of the work that we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it. There are discussions there. You can also go to Achievement Matters campaign and see some of the schools that have already that are already on our YouTube channels. One of the things that I would like to do to move through where we are in terms of schools is in Ohio, there's a school district by the name of New Albany Primary School. It's a 5-star school, 5 stars meaning in the state of Ohio. They rank their schools 1 to 5 stars, which are 5 levels. 5 stars equals basically an A, 4 a B, 3 a C, and then D and F. They don't rate their schools with an A, B, C, D, F letter. They rate them based on stars, but you can compare what they're doing with how they demonstrate, as we will show in some of the calculations. So in the area of achievement, the point in achievement and why we do achievement first is in the first sentence under performance index, it tells you that the achievement matters area are all the tests that all of the students take. And then they have a weighted system, which you can read about in this achievement component technical document here at your leisure once you pull it up. And when you pull it up, it's simply Ohio Department of Education report card. Put your school in, and you'll be right here in this same arena. So when you look at this particular school and the number of students that are performing, approximately 88 to 89% of these students are proficient or above. I think it's important, again, this is an A, quote, 5-star rated school, and it's nice to see that you have this number of students that are proficient. Now, when we speak of proficient in the state of Ohio, the number is 700 on one scale. They have a scale. Again, you can look in this technical document here. These are simply examples of what we know works, where it is working, and then we'll take a look at how is that working for our Black students, which is we would look in the gap closing to see how our students are doing overall in gap closing. And here they break them out by groups and they set benchmarks based on their expectations. And here, African American students, 91% of them met the benchmark for the state. Now, if you live in Ohio, you want to be clear about understanding the difference between a benchmark and a goal. They are a little confusing in their answering when we spoke to them, because they say their benchmarks is based on a 10-year plan. At the end of that 10-year plan, Black students will still be at the bottom. That's a plan, low expectation. However, they also set benchmarks using empirical numbers. So what you see here is that 91% of the Black student met and or exceeded that particular benchmarks. Our criteria for schools that we deal with is that 50% or more are actually proficient or above. So these are the two key areas when you look at them by racial ethnic groups in here, and that's on the gap closing. And again, there is a gap closing technical document that you can read when you want to do a deep dive and really understand the numbers. But at this particular school, for the number of our kids are in this school, which I will show you, they're doing quite well. The way we get to how well they're doing, how many are in the school, we go to school detail. And on the basis of school detail, they actually show all the students. There are 993 students. Black students make up 12%, so 120 of the 993 are Black students. But as you saw, they are performing quite well in this particular school. We also take a look at funding. In terms of overall funding, this particular school receives $15,000 that they use in operating spending per pupil. So number one, the statements are all, do you have quality egalitarian teachers to do the instructions? Two, do they have the support so they can support the students? And three, are they removing barriers, or is the administration or community, whoever is removing the barriers so that the teacher can teach, the student can learn, and the parent can support? So I'm going to go through this school. I'm going to switch to another school, which is different, but I want to show you the difference between the two and what I just spoke of in terms of ABC. So does anyone have a question about New Albany Primary School in Ohio? So overall rating of 5, has a 5 in gap closing, and it has a 5 in achievement. These are the two primary areas that we look at, although we do talk about what students are in the schools and how much funding they're getting. Those are big issues for most people, but our top priority is academic achievement using empirical data, verifying and validating and authenticating that document by taking you directly into the Ohio Department of Education so you can actually see their report card. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get this at the school. And if not, I'm going to switch around here. So this particular school is in the Florida Department of Education. So we're switching from Ohio Department of Education to the Florida Department of Education. This particular school, Barbara Coleman Senior High School, is located in Miami-Dade. Um, it is a high school, and in Florida, opposite the stars that are used in Ohio. In Florida, they actually use A, B, C, D-rated schools. This is an A-rated schools. This data is for the year 2026, so it is up-to-date data. It also will give you an idea of the assessment in academics in terms of, let's see if I can get this. If you look at the information here on the population of the school, they have 112 teachers, they have 3,000 students. That's broken out by race, ethnic group. Black students race make up 11.5%, which is about 346 students in this school, which is a good sample for us. But our main concern in terms of what we're looking at is how do we look at the various components in calculating how they perform in other areas. So again, I want to come back to this school again. Type in, if you're looking at how this is done, Robert Coleman Senior High, view this particular school. And if you look at you see all the A ratings, but this time we went into population, so we know how many students are there, but we want to go into academic achievement. So this is our primary purpose of doing this, so we know how well our students are achieving. You can look at growth, you can look at participation, but our focus, as within Ohio, was on achievement. So when you look at achievement and you go into academic growth and you come down, and they actually compare both the high school itself, how that school ranks in Miami-Dade and how it ranks statewide. And if you look at where these particular students, this is all students, as you see right here, where it uses the term subgroups. We normally say groups, but here in this state, they use subgroups. So this is for all the students and where they stand in English language arts. Here, we can actually go in and build what is it for Black African descendant students. So we're looking strictly at whether or not they meet our mark. As you can see here, at 21 and 28 and 20, they are above, they're 68%. So they meet all the criteria. They are 68% are proficient and above in this particular school in English language arts and reading. Now, there's always just for those of you who are interested in doing more, seeing more, there's almost everything you would want to see from discipline and attendance, graduation, quality teachers, long-term goals, per pupil expenditure, and national data and how they rank. That's always above. Again, our priority one is how are our students doing so that our narrative counters what is out there in terms of perception and that our children are not doing well. So in terms of reading and English language arts, as you can see, they're doing quite well. This is in subject. So by subject, I'm going to go here, switch to mathematics, and also mathematics for Black African American students. Recreate that chart. It will grow the chart. And again, what you see here is that the majority of the students are doing quite well overall on math as well. Not as well as they were in English language arts, but they're doing well. So again, the majority of them are proficient and above. So, um, so we've looked at two different states, and in those two different states, we've looked at two different schools, different methodologies, different websites, and where you live, in what state you may live in, may be different. But in either case, what you're looking for is you want to view the report card for the particular school your child attends first. You may want to look at the whole district, which you can do. And then you want to filter to see how our particular children are doing in these schools so that it helps us reach our goal of 1,001 over the next 12 months, August to August, and whether or not we can actually do recordings and upload them to YouTube so that we can make it available for parents all over the country as to what a best academic practice school looks like. And remember, you want to accentuate the academics because that's where our children are stereotypes. It being at the bottom because they can't do the work. We first have to prove that they can do the work and then hopefully get others to participate and help our children reach that particular area. So I'm going to go back to, again, restate our goal and what we're promoting. We're promoting best academic practice models for Black students. This is a campaign that we're running nationwide. The Parent Student Union and Family Empowerment is working as a part of the national task force, which is being led by Dr. Dora Inwizi, who is in the state of Florida. We want you to join us, help us make a difference, not just in your community, but in communities all over the country. So with that is the end of the presentation. And are there any questions before Darla takes over?
What if you don't have gap closings?
Well, you are in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, I know.
So, all right. So in Wisconsin, what is your categories that they actually use on your report card?
Let's see. Here, I just found it.
Because they did say,
Significantly, starting off top, significantly exceeds expectation, meets few expectation, fails to meet expectations. And I give numbers.
okay, so you have 5 categories.
Yeah,
And so the meet expectation and above. So
right.
we would start with meet expectation. What is the number for meet expectation?
38 schools in Milwaukee School Board District.
Where you're going to be doing an update report. So anyone that's listening to this, this is President Nicholas from Wisconsin, and we'll be doing a report card on Friday. So we'll get a chance to look at Wisconsin's report card. But one of the things that he just said, if you go back to the 2 schools that we just did, they had 5 different levels, A, B, C, D. I don't know if they ever ranked the school F, but if they don't make D, they have a thing in there called need support. But if you go back to Ohio, they use 5 stars. So you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, which basically is the equivalent of A, B, C, D, F. And you can relate that to what the teacher teaches in the classroom. Wisconsin, though, is a little bit different. President Nicholas and I've had this discussion. President Nicholas, what is the number on meat expectation?
One moment. Oh, just meat. 38 schools.
And
38 schools.
And what do they qualify as meet expectation? What's the number, empirical number?
It's a C.
Okay, and
C.
what is the number they use to define a C? For instance, in a classroom, unless you
58 to 69.9.
Okay, so on Friday we'll be able to discuss that because the teacher in a classroom, a 58 would not make this a regular grade point. However, we would need to look at the scale score, right?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll look at what is called the traditional scoring. What you get when you get an A and go down.
Right.
And here it appears that it's like it has been dumbed down. So I'll show that too. Okay. I just want to make sure about the gap closing because
right. So and then there would be
we don't have it.
Would that be another set that you might want to look for in your data?
I'll look for it.
Yeah, but
I will. But
look
initially, I'm looking.
Look for. You have groups or subgroups.
Oh yeah, we got suburbans.
Okay,
I'll look in the suburbs.
And that's where we'll find the gap closing piece. They may not call it that, and some don't. And that's one of the things we can explain to parents and family members that may watch some of these things. So on Friday, for those of you look at this, you may want to look at the date on Friday and go to Friday and take a look at what Wisconsin is doing. Any other questions? Anyone else? Okay, Darla, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Who better to teach us than us? Our cultural consciousness cannot be outsourced. Self-educate to self-liberate. It is within the midst of numerous humble, independent, consistent community cultural institutions similar to the one pictured, which continue to exist generation to generations, where many brilliant young minds are shaped and guided into internalizing our story, ancestral narrative, its overarching excellence and meaning, and into acting to embody the lessons learned from our honored legacies. And it was a picture of a school teacher, a piano, and students that are sitting as students do. And it said, who better to teach us than us? All Black. All the participants in the pictures are Black.
Well, I want to go back to what we promoted, best academic practice models for Black students. And that would be the right question, and hopefully we have the right answer. So I will see everyone tomorrow. Dr. Nweezy has a guest. And again, the website and what we're about, look, Google best academic practice models for Black students, and all the information that you need is there. So I will say to everyone, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.